The Research Writing Process, Reading and Research, Question, Problem, Thesis, Part 3 of the Invention Process. The research question, research problem, and thesis should begin to emerge early in your reading and research. Oftentimes, writers need to engage a little with the conversations in the field before they know what questions they are seeking to answer about their object and how best to frame it, as well as what problem their project will attempt to solve, and how best to articulate their thesis in contrast with other perspectives. However, if writers wait too long to develop a question or a thesis, they may run the risk of allowing other scholars to dictate their question and position. So as you begin your reading and research, recall the questions and observations you previously noted about your object, and try to turn one of these into an open-ended question that can serve as a working research question. Also, write out your concrete answer to the question, which will be your working thesis. Having an initial idea of what your research question and thesis may be will guide your research and prevent you from simply copying someone else's question and thesis. As you begin reading sources, allow your reading to narrow and inform your research question. When attempting to write an open-ended question, writers often pose a question that is too broad for the scope of their essay. So as you read, look for ways to refine and specify your question. Imagine your working research question was, what is an effective model of Christian leadership? As you read, you discover that this question is too broad because you could be addressing Christian leadership in the corporate sector, at home, or in the church. So you narrow your question to, how should a Christian lead in the corporate sector? You realize this is too broad when you discover thousands of resources on Christianity in the workplace and on leadership principles in the corporate sector. So you make the needed change and ask, how should a Christian banker arrange the organizational structures and policies at her branch to reflect biblical principles of leadership? This question offers a much more manageable goal for the project. If, as you are reading, you discover that a particular technical term or phrase would more effectively or credibly articulate your question, make the necessary change to reflect the language commonly used in the discourse within your discipline. As you read sources about your topic, begin to look for concrete examples of what may be at stake if someone were to get the answer to your question wrong. How does misunderstanding your topic affect other topics or issues? What you uncover here may become your research problem, the broader issue about which the scholars disagree that grounds your argument in significance. Also, as you are reading, look for gaps in the scholarly conversation, areas where they overlook some implications of their arguments or fail to make connections to other related and significant topics. The best research projects seek to find a gap that scholars have overlooked or inadequately solved. Since the thesis is your argumentative answer to the research question and your solution to the research problem, adapt your thesis to suit the changes you make to your research question and problem as you read. Just as you did with your research question, properly incorporate the technical terms of your discipline into your thesis. And note the theses of other scholars and strengthen your thesis by clarifying the contrast between your argument and theirs.